What's up, Zoxaskun? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we have to get into the nitty-gritty here, right? With a couple of different things. We're going to be talking about Nell, aka Nilu, the new SSR that was just added into the game, and we're going to be talking about Ramoka, one of the units that was covered in the patch notes for being buffed. Now, I will say it's actually kind of funny to talk about her because I know a lot of people that I've spoken to have said things like, you know, as soon as we potentially get a reset event, I'm resetting her if we ever get another one. And I get it, right? Because accessibility and utility is not nearly as vast as some of the other options, like say like Shieda, for example. You can use her in more places. But I feel like for what it's worth, the main thing that they really fixed with her was the consistency part. And being more transparent about that, I think is really important because that really is going to give you a better understanding of how you can actually go, about making your different setups. Now, the thing is, I'll show you guys my run here. I did not actually have this 3-star before recording this video. When I put Nell in the team, I actually was able to 3-star this for the very first time. And I thought that that was actually pretty sick because I was using Yang prior to. And so that was like basically my unit choice for like pushing the team, trying to, make up the rest of the crit damage or crit rate that I was missing. But I actually found much better results with adding Nell because Nell actually is not only giving you the damage amp, but the most important thing that I think a lot of people just kind of like overlook because we have so many other options for it is the speed up buff, right? And I think that you have to remember different setups and different team compositions. It's going to just make things facilitate and feel a lot better depending on what you might have. And I feel like for the investment level that's required to get this unit to work, which I'll show you guys after you see the run, she works extremely well, right? So as you can see, we did Codex of Magics on my entire team. We got the traditional Freya, Ramoka, Klaus, Shieda, and then, sorry, not Shieda, Klaus, Kazio, and then Nell, right? And as you can see, right, you've seen that skill 2 come into play. It immediately gives her turn, and she instantly nukes everything. So that's the run, right? That's literally the run. And it's crazy because even on like granted, like you're gonna have some anomaly runs, this is at about a 9 out of 10 ratio too, because the other thing that I noticed that Nell does extremely well is she actually facilitates anomaly runs really, really well, right? Now, real quick, I actually want to go and show you guys my gear because I know that that's actually a really, really important thing. I'm gonna let that farm in the background, but that's the run, right? Now, the thing is that some people might be like, well, Zox, your gear has to be like out of this world. It is absolutely not, right? So with the Ramoka build, right? And just to kind of show you that investment, because we are focusing on her and now, my Ramoka, this is my Ramoka right now, right? 70% crit rate with the additional 15% because she has attribute advantage, but 107% crit damage, 2.2k additional on the attack. And then I have her skill 3 max, which this was the very first thing, and I would even say is like one of the bare minimum requirements for her. If you want to, you can throw some extra skills into or investment into the skill 1, and that's all that really is helping, is giving you more raw attack to add to the character so that she could actually do more damage. I didn't go as far as some other people because that was kind of the issue that we were having, which was like causing the fluctuation in consistency. Sometimes she would get the proper scaling, sometimes she wouldn't, especially after the count proc. And so what a lot of people were doing was they would go a little bit into the skill 1 so that they could actually pull from those skill 1 nodes, right? So if we go over here, you'll see that there's all this attack, but then there's 100% attack or 100 attack here, 5% attack here, 10% attack here, right? So I don't think anyone was really looking for the actual levels of the skill 1 per se, but they were definitely trying to get those extra attack values, right? So that was the big thing there. But since the buff, her skill 2, even at level 1, is still going to be providing more than what it was before, which I think it was 0.6 at max. Now is 0.7 without it being max. So at 1% at level 5, that skill 2 after a full rotation or being rotated back is going to hit very, very hard, right? So that's the thing that I think that they really did well, was they made it to where she's a lot more consistent. And of course, I will say pairings do matter, but they at least gave her the damage to make it make sense when she's rotating, right? So just to kind of show you guys, even the build, I'm using a bulwark with momentum. Reason why I'm doing that is because I am much slower, and that's just again to alleviate the fact that like I don't have speed builds. I'm still working on getting the proper sets that I want, like the swift rage, the swift smite, stuff like that. So until that comes, yeah, right now I have to facilitate me taking hits. So I have to make sure that she doesn't actually get CC'd or she doesn't get attacked down, because then it actually hurts her damage. So this is a way that you can counteract, and this is what I feel like is going to help players working their way up. This is how you're able to counteract not having speed. You have to build into sets like this, right? And then again, with the momentum build, I have crit rate, attack bonus, and crit damage. Once you have enough of the values that you need, like say for example, like if I rolled better substats on my passive for my shells, you can make up the difference for like say the attack in a lot of different ways. And what you'll see a lot of people do is they'll go crit rate, crit damage, so that they can scale that a lot more. But for the count, again, I have crit damage roll, I have overclocking, which is attack percent, and then I have the final damage on the assault. Haven't touched it, but it's a bulwark momentum count right now. Once I do get, you know, more in-game drops, because dude, like it's crazy as much as I've farmed, how non-existent certain like set bonuses have just been for me. So hey, it is what it is. I'm still trucking along and working, and like I said, even without it, still able to get that 3-star right now. That's Ramoka. Now the main other counterpart to this is obviously the Nell, right? And so I'm going to jump over to Nell, because I think with Nell, her investment that's required is much lower than a lot of players actually think. And even for me, I was thinking like, you know, maybe if you want this character to facilitate properly, you're gonna need her maxed out. But in reality, you kind of don't need her maxed out. Just the skill 3 alone is good enough, right? And I would even say that like, even without the skill 3 being max, it's like you can still use her, but I would definitely say this still helps because you get that inflicting chance of vulnerability increase, and then the duration of the speed up buff is longer as well, right? And so that, with her being paired up with the Codex of Magic, is really strong. Of course, you can still go for the other values on the skills. That would just facilitate her vulnerability proccing more often, and also making sure she gets more turn meter, but she does also give 15% turn meter push, while she's also healing for 10% of the max HP at base, right? So it's still really good. Now, the other thing is too, is if we actually go over to her modules, what I have her on is mainly a speed focus with like a partial stride, which is really just a defense buff. So you could even, like, that could be technically bramble or defense, right? But the main things that we're fixating on is effect accuracy, and that's at 219. I mean, really over 200, you're good. 117 on the speed. The reason why I took her to 5 stars is just so she had a little bit more speed on her. But again, like I said, I've seen a run where somebody used her at 3-star and beat it, but the thing was they were really, really fast, so you can make that work, right? But for those that aren't fast, like myself, you're gonna still have to invest in her a little bit. But considering that it's only 5-star and skill 3 required, that's not bad, right? Now, of course, using her on a Codex of Magic with a Swift Rush momentum, and application or amplification, which is flat attacks, shadow speed, or shadow dash, which is only 10 speed. So you can see how like low the actual requirements are. So nobody can scream at me and be like, yo, Zox, look at you with your busted freaking stats. None of these units on this team, by the way, are actually maxed completely. So I just want to make note of that, right? None of these units are actually maxed completely. They might have one skill or maybe even a partial of a skill like leveled, but they're not maxed, right? Kazio, right? I think she's also a very important part. I've showed her in previous videos, but I did do a little bit more investment in her. Skill 3 obviously is mandatory. I feel like if you're trying to also just take into consideration potentially anomaly runs, at least making sure that you level her skill 1 up to level 3 does help out tremendously. And that's just because that's going to give you more chance to land the slumber just in case, right? So that's what I actually fixated there. Going to the shell here, again, Borg Strive on a Codex of Magic. All I care about is the Codex of Magic. With the Shadow Dash source, reducing the Animus final damage taken by 4.5%, which is great. I mean, that does kind of help a little bit, but nothing crazy, right? Like, definitely not like super over the top Kazio. She's still 5-star, and still works extremely well, right? Now, we also have Freya on this team too. With Freya, where's she at? Up here. My Freya that I'm running for this specific run is 128. Like, she's not that fast, right? Now, the thing is that I have her on like a broken build, mainly focusing Swift Rush, which again, if you notice, there's a trend here. Most of these characters are built on Swift Rush outside the damage dealer. Effect accuracy, effect accuracy, effect accuracy is all I care about. 194% effect accuracy. If I could get that to 200, then that'd be great, but she still is effective, and her just existing is mainly the main point. And then I'll also run her on Artisan. Again, the Artisan is important for off runs so that she can sustain the team long enough to give them a chance to rotate and possibly finish off the fight, right? So that's the reason why I run the Artisan. Otherwise, you can go for things like Gigabyte if you want to, but it's entirely up to you on what you prefer to do. But I just like having that extra security, and so that's what I run there. And then let me see here, who's last I didn't show. I think we showed now. Oh, Klaus. Yeah, Klaus, right? So my Klaus is also still 5-star, right? So leveled up her to level 3 on her skill 3. So does not require full investment. All the other 2 skills have no investment. As far as, again, the emphasis of build, Swift Rush, with effect accuracy, and effect accuracy. And I tried to just make sure that these characters were within reason, like all just faster than Kazio, because as long as they're faster than Kazio, they basically can guarantee that, you can take advantage of the amp from the slumber, which is great, right? So that's including Nell. She needs to be a little bit faster. Effect accuracy is only at 180. Got to get that to 200 and it'll be much more consistent, but it's still good for right now, right? 118 on the additional speed. And then the shell we're using is a Codex of Magic. Reason why we go Codex of Magic, and I have 3 of them, and this is why I said everything good comes in 3s, is because they all are units that for me to make the run facilitate and work better, I want them to be using their skill 3 every rotation that they get, right? So going from wave 1 into wave 2, I want those procs of those skill 3s. And so it just makes it a little bit more consistent. So that's basically the overall like investment, right? Like, it's not like super crazy, even for my Ramoka, which I know that some people, again, I get it, like you'll see some videos and the unit will be like beyond built and like super in-game level of investment. But for what it's worth, yeah, like the investment's pretty standard, like maybe 1 skill, which is 4 perfect lattices. And then also, like I said, I have a little bit of extra attack, but I don't even think that's required now because she just got buffed. I did that before she got buffed. So, you have to kind of keep that in mind too, that the skill 2 is also going to get pushed by another 40% damage, and then also have the 1% boost on the lost HP. So that's going to be full send clearing stuff, because you already seen how hard it hits without any investment now, right? So that's that. So outside of that, just to kind of finish this off, I want to make sure that you guys fully understand like the value that Nell is bringing to the table. So the thing is that with Nell and her just investment and her immediate value, I would say that like in terms of getting this unit, especially over Lilium, I think that this is just going to be a little bit more realistic. Granted, she doesn't actually cover damage, but she does allow you to dish out more damage. The other thing is too, is because she's facilitating speed and rotation, that turn meter push, I actually kind of sort of give her the baby Lily in a sense. It's not crit rate up, or crit damage up, but what she is doing is still going to be giving you more damage, right? Or opportunity to deal more damage. And then also that vulnerability proc also still scales your damage. And she works very much like similarly to how you would kind of use a Kachi or a Lily, for example, or even it's really honestly any turn manipulator with a turn 2 skill that does that, right? She does it really well though, with being able to sustain you. So that's something that I think, like, for what it's worth, she's actually a really good unit. Do I think she's a must-have? I I would say kind of, sort of, because like to be real with you, like I said, I wasn't finding as nearly as much of a consistency within my runs, but now that I have her on the account, she definitely helps, make the runs a lot smoother. And the thing is that this is something that's not just going to help you in things like Doki. You could definitely use her in things like Aurora. You could definitely use her in like a lot of your wave clearing content, Ethernet Rally, Cage, Rumble Cage. You can use her in the guild content for scoring more damage, like our Union boss fights. You can use her in GVG. Like there's so many different, like she kind of has like tons of value, like in terms of where you can place her, because not only does she have speed up buff with the damage amp, but she has neutrality, right? So these are the things that I'm looking at when we're talking about unit investment and things that are going to make the most sense. I feel like this is a great character, free to play in the most sense. Like I said, the investment is really low. She doesn't even require crazy speeds or gear. And I know somebody's going to say for PvP, like, her speed is fairly low. I would suggest maybe more of a bruiser approach with her at that point. Because yeah, she's not going to outspeed anything in PvP. I really honestly feel like she was intended to be a PvE unit. And I'm going to have a video talking about that, because I think that that's something that we kind of have to start to understand within this game. Because otherwise a lot of people are going to start struggling and just making really like poor choices. So that's going to be that for another video, but I hope that this video was able to give you a little insight. Nothing too crazy, but yeah guys, everyone stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.